What's going on, guys? Bergs and Longy here from The Casual Athlete, here to hit you with our last-minute fantasy tips and big predictions via the TBC Live app that you can download in the description below. Longy, we made some good predictions last week. A little bit less some, but you actually had a pretty good week as far as upsets were concerned.
Yeah, the big one, Warriors game. I went the upset for the Warriors, and I tipped the Metcalf try.
Yes.
And, I shot up the ranks in that game. I had Canberra's upset as well. Back them in. I'm not a Brisbane fan. I don't back the boys, but I will say this week, I'm definitely on them.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous matchup this week, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Guys, if you haven't already, please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel, and Longy and I will jump into our first game here. We have the Storm taking on the Panthers down at Amy Park, and the last three games between these two teams have been decided by just 8 points or less. It's a grand final rematch. Longy, how are you seeing this one?
Oh, look, Penrith are due a bounce back. Like they should get up for this game. They should be fired up. But Melbourne's Melbourne, right? And I'm going with Melbourne 100% in this game. I think they win it, but I do think it'll be a really strong game from the playmakers. And for that reason, I've gone Nathan Cleary over 80 points. I think he does everything in his power and just doesn't get there. And I think it's a preview into what he's going to face now that Penrith aren't a juggernaut anymore. So I'm excited to see it. I want to see him get so close yet be so far. Melbourne to win.
So more on the Penrith downfall, not the Melbourne rise. Is that what you're thinking?
I'm a Penrith hater, mate.
Fair enough.
I respect the greatness, but the hate is there.
Yes, I know. It's definitely interesting to see after last week. They were not good at all, missed a lot of tackles. But let's highlight a key matchup from this one. We're going to go to Katoa and Hughes on the right side for Melbourne up against Jack Cole and Scott Sorensen this week. Now, Jack Cole, a little bit interesting about him during the week is that he was potentially going to be replaced, and Brad Schneider is there on the bench.
Yep.
I'm not so sure how confident they are in him. If he has another bad game, I think Brad Schneider could be going into that spot. My big prediction for this game is that Nathan Cleary is going to kick a 2-point field goal at some point, whether it be to win the game or not. I just feel like, as you said, Penrith are due a bounce back, and I've actually gone with them this week. I think they go down to Melbourne and they beat the Storm. Now, they haven't done that good against the Storm in the regular season, but they are due a bounce back, and both of these teams are great off the back of losses. Moving over to the Warriors-Roosters game, the Roosters possibly got one of the best wins in club history last week. Who was your big standout in that one?
Yeah, Sandon Smith. I'm shocked.
Fair enough. He was quite good.
Well, my prediction for that game was that he scored under 20.
Yeah, that did not happen at all.
And I'm here to own my losses as well, right? Like, I thought they would get absolutely cooked, the Roosters, right? And they came out and they won that game, and I'm still surprised.
Yeah, I know.
I'm still shocked. In fact, I'm just thinking about it now. Maybe I should go the Panthers for the upset. 3.7 is too much. But
that's why I'm on the Panthers, I tell you. Yeah.
This is pretty even here. It's 59% to 40. So, people are leaning towards the Warriors. I'm going to go the way of the upset in this one.
I am too.
And Roosters is my pick. I'll just jump to my prediction as well, because again, I'm using those. Like, they're brand new, by the way. New functionality in the app. Fantasy predictions. Get them in. It actually just released today, so I went through and did one for every game. But Gussie Crichton, 55 plus points in this game. I think Gus Crichton turns up and goes, you know what, guys, F you anyone who traded me in fantasy. I'm getting it done this week. And I need to believe that as a Gus owner, because he owes me a big score. So I'm going to go 55 plus.
Yeah, definitely does owe people a few things as well. I have him as well, so I'd love to see a 55 score out of Gus Crichton. I've gone a little bit of a different route. I've gone his little halfback. He shared a thing on his Instagram last week of the boys getting the win done against Penrith. Don't know if Chad did too much in last week's game. I expect him to come back in this one, though, and get 2 try assists. And I'm also on the Roosters. They are going for 9 in a row against the Warriors. So the streak will continue, in my opinion. In terms of the big matchup this week for me, it's Mark Nwanganitawase and Daniel Tupou up against that right side of the Warriors in Ali Leatawa and Tane Tuapiki, outstanding last week, 9 tackle breaks as well. So he could be in for a big one. I
just want to say aerial threats there.
Yes.
Like, that's going to be scary if they can chip the ball correctly across the field.
I know.
Those two will be hard to contain.
Yeah, especially going over the top of Tane Tuapiki. A little bit of on the small side, but had a good week last week. Hopefully he can back it up.
Weapon of a player.
Now we're going to get into a game that I don't really want to speak about whatsoever. I think I said it earlier in the week. I'm not looking forward to this fixture. It is the Broncos taking on the Cowboys, and God, my team is just dreadful at the moment. I love them to death, but we now go into another fixture where it's not a team that we have great success against. The Broncos are going for 7 in a row against us this week. Gone are the close matches of yesteryear where Jonathan Thurston or Anthony Milford used to kick field goals and every game used to go into Golden Point. That was fun, wasn't it?
It was.
That was fun while it lasted. And I wish I'd known that at the time. But right now we're just getting, Tom Dearden, try saving tackles when we're down by 30.
Do you want to know something fun? So the last time the Cowboys won the comp, they lost their first 3 games of the year. The third
it was
game
10 years ago, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
The third game they lost was to the Broncos, 44-22. Now, if you guys can put up 22 points in this game and lose, I will treat it as an omen, and I'll be having some big predictions on the Cowboys to win the comp after that.
Yeah.
But look, 5% of people are gone Cowboys, so it's much more popular than
you jumped on them last week, and I told you that the buck was stopped with me.
I took a few of those, right? But the Warriors one worked. I just sort of thought a few of these teams going back home. You can't take them this week. The Broncos will be up for it. They will be fired up. And for that reason, I've gone Payne Haas over 80 fantasy points. This guy is unstoppable. I just want to shout out a key stat here. Last year, he averaged 1.6 offloads a game. This year, it's 5.5 offloads.
He's flipped the switch. I don't know what's happening. Making
Different
Jai from Blindside look a bit stupid at the moment.
Poor Jai.
I can throw that one in there for Jai. My big prediction is that the Broncos will score 5 first-half tries in this one, so I expect it to be an absolute track meet.
Mate.
Now, the Broncos coming off the loss last week, and they won't take lightly to that, and our defence is so poor.
Reece Walsh was rough last
week.
Yeah,
he's got to bounce back in this one. And for me, the matchup, once again, is Shibasaki and Arthurs. Arthur scored a hat-trick last week up against rookie Robert Derby and Vialia this week. And Derby's horrible in defence. I really think if you want to put some money on anytime try scorers, maybe Arthur's might be another good bet on that one.
Spare prediction. I might chuck it in on TBC. little Arthur's
chuck it in there. I reckon it gets up 100%. The next game we have is the Sharks versus the Rabbitohs. Now, very interesting that the Sharks have only won the last 3 in a row. It used to be very competitive between these two teams. Obviously, Rabbitohs not that good over the last couple of seasons, but 4 out of the last 5 games between these two teams have been won by the home team, and the home team is the Sharks this week. Does that sway your tipping at the moment? I know the Rabbitohs, they've won 1 game by 1 point, 1 game by 2 points. Is the next logical step to lose a game?
I think they're going to lose this game.
Yeah,
most likely. Right, and the big thing is, Lachlan Hubner, who was the replacement for Cam Murray, and then no Tallis Duncan, who would have been the replacement for Lachlan Hubner. So they're missing a lot of locks. I'm hearing a bit of news that Jack Whiten might play lock, which
I don't mind that.
It's not crazy, but then the issue is the guys you bring in on the edge are pretty light.
Inexperienced.
There's no Munro right now. There's no Latrell.
Aitken.
Aitken's not there. So I'm sort of looking at it and going, it would have been nice to get Aitken back this week and go Arrow back to lock. That would have been ideal, but they can't do that. So I think through the middle, Cronulla should really dust up this team. Last week, I will note that Cronulla scored all their tries on the edges. So it's not really...
through the middle.
It's not going to be easy either way, is what I'm saying about South Sydney. They're going to struggle in all departments. For the tip, 5 points for a South Sydney tip.
Yep. You think about it.
I'm still going Cronulla.
Yeah. Look, so it's like the Cowboys-Broncos scenario. Yeah. You just can't see the Rabbitohs winning this game.
No, there's no story I can concoct in my head where it happens. Cronulla they're good across the board, and they haven't started that well because they lost that first game, so they're going to want to win this one.
Yeah. One of the best rosters in the NRL for sure. I've gone Brandon Trindle to score a double in this one, and I'm also on the Sharks as far as the tip is concerned.
Trindle double. See, I've gone the other halfback here. Jamie Humphries, over 70 fantasy points. Everyone's voting against it. Everyone is going against it, so except for me. So I'm going to get a bunch of points when he does that because he's done it in back-to-back weeks. It's Humphries' season. Get on that one.
Yeah, I do love Jamie Humphries. The next game that we have on our little agenda here is the Dolphins taking on the Tigers.
It's a little agenda because it's the Dolphins and the Tigers.
Little agenda. We go back to the big agenda after this.
Okay, good.
So
the Titans and Knights is the big agenda.
Yeah, the Titans and Knights is the big agenda. Just a key matchup for me in this one. We have Plath and Avarillo on that left side taking on Seyfarth and Stafford Toa. bit of a interest around fantasy, including Stafford Toa this week. He's been in and around some squads. Have you taken him up?
I don't know if they're the matchups I would have chosen, but Stafford Toa, I'm trying to steer away from him. I'd like one of these other options. And if Cowboys are playing well, I'd go Derby for sure. I like Tony Francis. I like Kautonga at Parramatta as well. I'm trying to steer away from him. But that matchup, I don't know, Plath on the edge. I'm just not a fan of Plath on the edge. So
it's never been that great, has it?
I will say, though, odds here. So, 27% of people taking the Dolphins, 72% have taken the Tigers.
Yeah.
Dolphins tip will get you 3.7 points. Tigers get you 1.4. I'm on the Dolphins.
I'm on the Dolphins as well.
It's a coin toss. It's a coin toss game. The Dolphins were bad last week, but the Tigers weren't good last week. They just played the worst team in the history of the league.
That's your Parramatta Eels.
I hate them.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I also do agree with you in saying that the Dolphins, while they weren't terrible, but they did have some chances in that game that they probably could have iced a bit more, and the errors went astray and that kind of thing. So I do think that there is a massive chance. This is their first game playing at home as well. And I think we can't underestimate that. For the Tigers, they haven't really had anything thrown at them in 2 weeks. I thought Para were poor, and in round one, I really thought the Knights were poor. They couldn't get anything going together. But I do expect one guy to be out there and be an absolute menace in this game, and I think Tom Gilbert makes upwards of 46 tackles. That's my big prediction for this game.
Cool. I mean, he did 59 in round one, so it's possible. I went Terrell May, over 65 fantasy points.
I'd love to see that too.
Yeah, look, this guy, 65 minutes straight the other day in the heat. I have no idea why they've run their rotations like that, but it was impressive regardless. So, yeah.
He's a killer, man.
Everyone's voting against that one as well. So, I think I'm going to make some points up very quickly.
Yeah, get some IQ points, guys, and get your predictions in as well. The next game we have is our Titans versus Knights game. And now there's been a bit of news around this game recently, but we'll get into that in just a moment. The key matchup that I'd like to highlight for this one is that Tony Francis and Brian Kelly will be playing together on the left up against Schiller and Gagai. Now, those are two edges set to collide. I love that Schiller has gone down or gone up to Newcastle and he's actually found a bit of form and got a bit of a consistent role. But as far as my tip goes for this game, I love the Titans here.
Yep.
And I've been on them since Monday. That hasn't changed from the Monday tips guys as well. And 13 of the last 14 games have been won by the home team in this one. And where's this game being played? Gold Coast.
Yeah, it's insane. 4.1 points.
No, I can't believe how massive outsiders they are.
That's going to come in, right? So, we're recording this a bit earlier, but Dylan Lucas is out. Leo Thompson's out. Kai Pierce-Paul is out. Defensively, they may struggle. Newcastle were good against Dolphins last week, and they looked fantastic. They won 26-12. You know what I mean? That was a masterclass, and they didn't really put it on. And then Tigers round one.
We're not throwing shade at the Knights, never. We never throw shade at the
Knights. Scrappy, yeah. Whereas the Titans weren't good last week, but on paper it's a fantastic forward pack and it's a lot of strike in the spine. The outside back should do their job too. So the Titans should figure out very quickly that forward pack just needs to run straight, especially against an understrength Knights forward pack.
Absolutely. It's Kalen Ponga or bust as well. You got to think if Kalen Ponga goes down, then there's really not going to be anything.
Is that your prediction that Ponga does?
No, my prediction is not that Ponga goes down. My prediction is that Jaden Campbell will have at least 200 kick meters by halftime.
By halftime, all right.
Yeah.
Kicking performance, yeah.
Yeah.
He was good last week.
I do like Jaden Campbell, and I think that if we give him time, he can develop into a 7.
Yep.
His dad was a very capable half as well, so there's no reason for me to think that he can't do it.
Yeah.
But it's going to take time. And I think with this huge forward pack that they do have, they need to stop playing games, by the way, and just put in David Fafita instead of Cleese Haas. And why is Fafita coming on 50 minutes into the game?
Ridiculous. They were down 22-0 in that game.
Unbelievable.
They were down 22-0.
Yeah. And then as soon as he came on, he sparked a bit of attack as well.
Yep. I agree with you, by the way, on Campbell.
Crazy town.
Going back to Campbell, he looked like he was really trying to play that pure 7 role and not do too much else. And then the last 20 minutes, he kind of went, all right, I can do that and also run the ball occasionally.
Yeah.
And he looked fantastic. So I'm not worried at all. I was very concerned for fantasy before that. Last 20 minutes bought it for me. 44 points in base. It's fine. My prediction, though, is Kalen Ponga in a loss to put on a show anyway. He's been very solid this year. 70-plus fantasy points. He will get it done.
Oh, definitely.
But it won't be enough. Keeney Brimson Campbell. We're going to see a lot from them too.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm on the Titans. Moving on to our next game, we have the Eels taking on the Dogs, and Dean Hawkins is in this week, and he'll be next to Jack Williams and Satili Tupanua, and Bailey Hayward will go up against them on the other side of the field this week. 2 new combinations. Some guys who really are fighting for spots at this point in time, and I think that Tupanua is a very capable second rower. He showed that at the Roosters, but after a knee injury, it didn't really go his way. Could he potentially lock down a full-time spot here? And is he a goer in fantasy? I've picked him up this week.
He's a bit expensive. So historical 43 average in fantasy, which is not that great. You have no Burton there. I'm skipping him. But, yeah, he's a goer. He'll come out and do a job for them. What I want to highlight is that this Parramatta team list pissed me off. I was so mad when I read it. And I was on live too. Really, it's like, well, I'm looking at this team, like, right, you've brought Dean Hawkins in and Josh Addo-Carr's named in jersey 21 or 23. It's like, why? Who are you trying to trick? Like, who are you fooling? Ryan Madison on the extended bench. Just bring the best players back in. Stop doodling around. Like, it's
a bit of a mess.
Yeah, mate, just put him in. And I think I've no doubt on game day Addo-Carr will be in there, right? But who are we tricking?
I somehow don't think Addo-Carr will be playing this week. Like, that's
For what reason?
It's been the worst, and I want to confirm this with someone. If you guys are watching this right now, can you confirm with me if this is the worst start to an NRL coaching career of all time? Because got pumped round 1, pumped round 2, and I can't think of any other coach that has just come in and had his team basically not give a shit, like, for 2 weeks. Like, it literally looks like he's chosen a bunch of schoolboys and they're charged to go out there and play against men. Yeah. And he's also just picking not the men. Like, the men are actually on the bench. They're playing reserve grade.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit weird. Are you following me with that? Like,
it's brutal.
I don't know why Volkman got dropped.
Yeah.
Like,
I will also say that the numbers aren't as bad as what it actually is. So the Tigers were not good in that game. Like, they were brutal in that game. Yeah,
Tigers are not a good team.
The Storm took the foot off the pedal as well. So Parramatta are worse than the numbers suggest, which is crazy to say. But we've got to jump into predictions here. And now I'm going to delusionally say I'm tipping Parramatta.
Are you actually?
I absolutely am.
Wow.
5 points.
That's not happening.
Look, you can get mad at your own team and still love them.
Yep.
5 points for this tip.
Tell us your tale.
12% of people have tipped them. Now, that's 12% of winners right there. We're all getting on. This is the start of the resurgence. The Riles era begins this game.
Yeah, I do believe in fairy tales as well. Just not on this occasion. I think that the Dogs will win this game, although I have Parramatta winning at halftime is my big prediction. So I don't think they'll lose horribly. I think a lot of the attack for the Dogs has gone through Burton in recent weeks, and he is not playing this game. So that, for me, is a big area of attack that's going to be missing from the Dogs.
Can I throw into the attack then? Because Jacob Preston, I think he's going to get a lot of ball in this game. He's going to be really good. Over 55 fantasy points. I think it goes through him, and I think he's been sort of close the last couple of weeks. This week it breaks out. Parramatta won't be able to tackle him. He'll score a bunch of points. Yeah.
It depends on if he goes up against Kautonga or Jack Williams.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, fine. We'll move on then. The last game of the round is the Raiders taking on Manly. Now, there's a very interesting stat that I found out about this fixture. Now, it has been reffed 5 times by Grant Atkins, referee, in the NRL. Now, 4 out of those 5 times, Manly have won. And he is set to be the referee on Sunday.
Wow.
So
Conspiracy.
that is very interesting to me, and it also sways my tip more towards Manly. And I know there's a couple of issues with Turbo, but I think he'll play this week. I know he's 50-50. But I just think back at 4 Pines Park, I think the Raiders are being a little overvalued right now.
Yeah.
And I get a few more points for taking on that Manly tip, and I'm happy to do it.
I'll throw those numbers at you because 1.6 for Canberra.
Yep.
2.8 for Manly. Right, so
let's go.
The 28 points.
Get on Manly.
Like, I'm with you there. I think it's a real coin toss sort of game. Even without Turbo, if DCE is there and he's good, You go Lehigh Hopewadi to fullback, and you get the legend Tommy
I
Talau.
like Lehigh Hopewadi a lot.
When Talau gets in, who's their best player?
Talau, the legend. The legend returns.
The beast. The beast. We want Talau back.
Yes, we
and
do
we
want
Kikura back for the Broncos too. But yeah, look, Talau comes back in. I think they're fine. Like Canberra, I was all on the Canberra underrated train all preseason, and I've tipped them the last 2 weeks, and they've been outsiders.
Yep.
And this is the week where they're favourites. I'm not going to tip them. Like,
yeah. Now they're overrated.
Yeah, everyone just overreacts to everything.
Yeah, I think as well, Zach Hoskin going down, let's not make light of that scenario. We have while he was very good last week, Matty Nicholson coming in, who's probably gone into 50% of fantasy teams by this point. Very expensive, I thought, though, for the price tag. Had one game to be able to watch him, see what he could do. He hits the hole. He hit a hole really well.
Yep.
And he's going at Ben Trebojevic this week. That's an interesting matchup for me.
Yep.
I don't think Ben Trebojevic is the best defender going around. There's a few holes there, if you ask me. And
I'm going to feed off that too, because Matty Nicholson is my prediction.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just going to jump on that. Over 50 fantasy points is what I've got for him here. Now, over 50, everyone's going against it. I reckon I'm good here. Like I really think some of these overs predictions are going to come through because I'm putting those predictions on the best players, right? So everyone's doubting it because some of them didn't come off last week. But Matty Nicholson over 50, guaranteed.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll go to another rookie as well. I love Savelio Tamale.
Oh yeah,
and I'm on him to get 6 tackle breaks in this game.
Good call.
So, guys, that is it for our last-minute tips, predictions, and fantasy analysis. Guys, if you haven't already, please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, please make sure that you download TBC Live. The link is in the description below. I'm Bergs. That's Longy, and we'll catch you on the next one.